ladies and gentlemen, Jim Stengel.
Welcome to this great meeting. I was looking at the brands who are here and the companies before I came in, and it's an incredible mix of people. So, I was known at P&G to get out of the building a lot, and I didn't do it nearly as much as I should have. So, this is such a wonderful environment. My advice to you is, if you're an introvert, meet people. If you're an extrovert, meet a lot of people. But I think a big, powerful part of these kind of things is the serendipity. We had a great discussion tonight. So I think we're always learning wherever we are in our career. Just use this. The seminars are great. Keynotes are fine. But I think it's what you do peer-to-peer, which is really powerful. And you know that. That's why you're here. So I thought about what we talk about after dinner. But before I do that, I want to start with, we're on August 27th. Summer's coming to a close. Kids are back in school. The U.S. Open has started. That's always my signal that summer's ending. So it's kind of poignant. It's kind of bittersweet. So I want to ask you, and I might bring the lights up a bit for this. Did you learn anything this summer about marketing that was new, unusual, or have an experience about marketing that was new or unusual? Anyone? Anyone have a fun summer? Do anything interesting? Yeah? What did you do?
Traveled to Charleston, South Carolina, where we had a tree on their flag.
That's cool. That's related to marketing somehow. So, anyone else? Yes. Got two at the table, 9.
Searched town, sell peanuts. So got into blockchain.
Wow.
Brand name for it.
Wow.
Varsity industry.
You should be on stage.
Ready to roll.
We'll get you up later. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
The company that I just left was part of a Fox Laura Ingram
Yeah.
advertise, and all of a sudden we were getting these really well-written emails about how dare we advertise. And it's like, number one, we're not, but these are really well-written emails. Who the hell is sending them?
And who were they? Yeah, sure. So, wild world we're in, right? Wild day we had today. Yes.
I think the most interesting thing that I learned about marketing this summer, actually, the previous Millennium Alliance event in New York, not just trying to suck up to the organizers here, is there was a lecture there on sort of how in previous eras there were all these iconic short slogans, it's better in the Bahamas or
Yeah.
all these slogans. And now, especially for the future generations, those short slogans don't seem as powerful. It's got other forms of content.
It's about your behavior, right? What you stand for. Yeah. Anyone else? No, boring summer? Any good vacations? Well, here's what I learned. Just prep you. So, we went to Peru this summer for 2 weeks, and we ended in Machu Picchu, but we hiked there from Cusco. So, and we hiked lodge to lodge. It was just fantastic. And so I learned about, of course, you learn about the Incas when you're there. We had this, that's our kids and nieces and nephews and so on. We got cleansed and blessed by the shamans, so I don't know, I think.
I knew you looked different.
Yeah. So, but this was our guide. She was like out of a James Bond movie, right? She was strong and funny and could do anything. But we learned a lot about the Incan civilization, right? And, they built their empire, which is larger than the Roman Empire in 100 years. How long did it take the Romans to build theirs? David, you're a professor. How long? A long time. Yes? Yeah. Yeah. So longer. So longer. Yeah, good. We're impressed. We're impressed. He gets a free book. I think you all get free books. So anyway, and you know how they did it? This is a marketing lesson. They didn't really do it through war. They did it through collaboration and win-wins and deals, positive deals where both sides won. So anyway, so that was cool. And we also learned about the company this woman was one of the founders of, called Mountain Lodges of Peru. It was formed by an Austrian and a Peruvian who was living in Colorado, and their purpose was obviously to provide people a way to hike versus taking a train to get to Machu Picchu, and to show the beauty and the culture and to help the microeconomic climates around their lodges, because the mountain people have a tough subsistence. So a very noble purpose, everyone wins, and she was just amazing, incredible leader. And we ate guinea pig. Who's had guinea pig? You Peruvian? No, okay. So it's a tough marketing challenge. We did about 7 days. Yeah. And we actually, the toughest part of the whole trip was, does this have a pointer on it? I don't think so. You see the mountain behind the blonde? We hiked that, and that was just like straight up. That was scary. If you have vertigo, it would take you down. So anyway, that's what I learned about marketing this summer. So hey, gang, it's after dinner. It's Monday night. You've had some drinks. I haven't. One thing I learned at P&G, never drink before you talk. It's a good lesson, one lesson of many. Anyway, I just, one thing I do, which you do as well, I spend my life with senior marketing people, right? I teach at Kellogg, a couple CMO programs. I do some stuff with Deloitte. I have a big program in Cannes every year with CMOs. And every day I'm talking to someone. I was talking to Antonio Luzio this weekend, who just took the most important CMO job in the world. Here's a brand that's important. We talk about the Russians. That doesn't seem to have a story right now. It's kind of lost its way. So what a fabulous chance to make an impact. So I thought I would share with you the 5 things I'm hearing from these people, and maybe an idea or two that comes out of each one of them. So we're going to chat about this and set the stage for discussion. So the first one, and the rhythm is going to share the question, maybe tell a story, invite you to maybe tell a story, and then maybe a lesson that comes out of it. But the first one is such a simple idea. Is your team compelled by the work they're doing? Does it energize them? Do they want to come to work? Do they feel like they're doing something important, exciting, interesting? Are they compelled to work on the idea? Now, I know you can't do this every day, all the time, but it's a simple, simple principle that I think we blow right by. And you know what this is? I'm sure you do. What is it? And what's it called? Fearless Girl. What happened with that? Tremendous movement. Right. When was this picture taken? You can see it. March 8, 2017. You know what that day was? International Women's Day, right? So, and they were launching their She Fund, which is a fund that overinvests in companies that have women on the board and in senior management. So you know what happened to the She Fund? It took off like crazy. But this idea, we were talking about ideas at our table tonight, it's as old as the hills. It's a statue. It's the most analog idea ever, but it went crazy. And they let it go. And by the way, they weren't perfect. They didn't have women on their board, and they knew it. They knew it. So second idea, you know what this one was? Anyone in the telecommunications industry? Sprint was going to be here, but they're not, I don't think. You know what this idea was? Yeah, it's Boost Mobile, which is, a telecom retailer, basically. And their stores are in pretty low socioeconomic neighborhoods. So using data, using insights, they looked at their store locations with a level of voter turnout, and they were kind of inversely correlated. So their purpose was to boost the voice of the underserved and have a massive drive toward voter registration. So they opened their stores up to be places where people could register to vote and vote. And the stuff they had to go through politically to get that done is crazy. Crazy. But you know what happened? They registered a lot of people, and their sales were up 30%. So why am I sharing these two? I invited the people who worked on these to talk to the CMOs in Cannes this year, because these won all kinds of awards, grew the brand, hit the results, went crazy viral. And the lesson that they told the CMOs when they shared their stories was our people couldn't wait to work on these ideas. We couldn't hold them back. They couldn't wait to be together. They wanted to take it to the next level. They had ideas. They were having fun. They were creative. So it's just a simple thought. We all have stage gates and milestones and critical paths. Maybe we could have the excitement self-assessment as a stage gate, an item, a critical path area. So anyway, that's one thing they're talking about. How do we produce ideas that our people get very excited about? I ran into a colleague at P&G, an ex-colleague today, and I was in the airport. And she runs the ventures group at P&G. And she was on her way to Northwestern. I said, well, what are you doing at Northwestern today? Kellogg School. She said, we didn't do well in recruiting this year. So why is that? They're not doing work that is perceived to be exciting and compelling. It's as simple as that. And until you change that, you're not going to change the recruiting results. So anyway, everyone's working this. Absolutely everyone's working this. This is just, no large company is agile enough. You know, I got a call from someone who just went to one of the, if I asked you to say what were the 10 most iconic brands in the world, this would be in that list. And he said the organization is slow, siloed, not integrated, fearful, doesn't talk, doesn't communicate. It's a disease. So you know that. You're getting a gift at this conference. Thank you for that. A book I wrote about 10 months ago, and it's my second book. The reason I wrote this, it's always interesting to ask an author why they write something. Almost everyone I met was working with startups in big companies. But it was all over the place in terms of results, how it was set up, you know, how they organized it, what they worked on, how they were rewarded. So I thought it would be interesting to unpack that. So I just started interviewing like crazy. But the whole point of most of that is obviously to get new technologies, new people, new teams, new ideas. But it is to take the lessons back to the enterprise. And one person I interviewed was Tina Sharkey. You know what she's CEO of now? Brandless. They just got $250 million from SoftBank as an investment. She was part of iVillage, Baby Center, Sherpa Foundry. So she's an entrepreneur / VC. So I interviewed her. This is in her office, so it's a book interview, so it's not terribly polished. But I asked her, what the hell's going on? So let's hear what she has to say for just a minute or so.
They're managing to their quarters, they're managing to their roadmap, and they're managing to their resources. They are executors and operators, not necessarily dreamers and disruptors, because there's an expectation that's been set upon them based on what the street is expecting of them, what their customer and their infrastructure is expecting of them, and what their managers and their talented team, which are often thousands around the world in many different languages and cultures and time zones, are all lined up to execute against. So they are executional machines more than they are disruption and innovation machines.
Does that sound familiar? So that's kind of why I wanted to look at all this. So just a simple idea. I mean, it's just so fundamental. Measured decision making. We are way too slow. We are way too slow. And it's something that can absolutely be measured. If you're at an IBM, if you're at a GE, you're at a Toyota, you're at an Oracle. And the second one is clean up the work of marketing. I know a lot of you are marketing service providers, you're data companies, some of you are with big brands. I often ask a group, what is your work in marketing? Tell me what people do in marketing in your company. And it's surprising how often people can't really answer that. And then, but it's easy to find out through some audits, studies, time motion, what they do. Then you compare it to what's the work you should be doing or need to be doing to win. And teams have trouble with that. So we have some professors in the room, you know this deeply, but the function is very different by organization. And there's nothing more powerful than a leader can do than to state with their team the work that the people should be doing to win. That's the first thing I did when I became CMO at P&G. I hired some academics. They spent a lot of time with their people. They did a big study about how people were spending their time. And I found that the company that purported to be the best marketing company in the world, 80% of the time of our Harvard MBAs, Wharton MBAs, Kellogg MBAs was spent on packaging changes, the administrative part of packaging changes, and getting people in a room for meetings to get the initiatives out the door. So basically administrative work. So once I held that data up, everyone said, hell, this can't be. We got to change this. Then we set out by saying, what should the work be? And then how do you develop a transition plan? So that unlocked a lot of energy, a lot of growth. So clean up the work of marketing. The third area, the third question, and this is a deep insecurity among senior marketing people. A couple years ago, we held our program in Cannes, and a top marketing person from a top company came up to me and said, I had no idea what programmatic was. So they are really, really afraid of getting behind, looking stupid, and they don't have strategies to stay fresh. So I interviewed this guy for the book I just did. He's a CEO of Motorola Solutions, by the way, a very hot tech company. It was when Motorola split and half of it went to mobile devices and Google bought it, this is the part that stayed back. So their customers are public safety customers, military, police forces, fire departments, that sort of thing. So it's a hot stock, growing fast, unbelievable effort to stay fresh, stay current, and to work with startups. Probably the best I found. So I asked him the question, how does he stay current and fresh? So let's hear from him for a minute or two. And he went on to say a revelation that he had about how he was spending his time all the wrong way. He's a real operator, right? So he's very hands-on. He just realized he had a great team. So he was spending his time in the daily business. And so he said, I kind of had a revelation, and he now spends almost all of his time on what's around the corner. So what are the technologies, the companies, the new capabilities they need to build, and his top 100 people. That's where that guy spends his time. Now, he's still accountable for the results, of course, but that's not where he focuses his energy. So the idea is, look at your calendar. Just look at your calendar. Where do you as a person need to grow, and where does your company need to grow? And is there a marriage in that? I did some work coaching CMO a couple years ago for a fairly large insurance company. And her life was out of control. Right? She was not in shape, was not spending her time with her mother, her children, her husband. So work-life balance, gone. And just not happy with how life was going. So I said, well, you know what? Give me half a day with your closest people in the company who know you. Your assistant and a couple of your team members who care about you and know what you do. And let's take apart your calendar for the past 12 months, put it into buckets, which we did as pre-work, and let's have a couple hours with your team to redo where you're going to focus into the future. So easy analysis, very easy. The tough part was her behavior change, because everyone wanted her in meetings, and she wanted to be part of all the meetings. But now she had a support group to help her, especially her assistant, with how she spends her time. She became a way happier person, a way more productive person, a way more balanced person, and to this day, she is doing extremely well in her career. But this simple idea. Now this one is everyone's, wherever you are in your career, your challenge, right? Are you taking care of your core while finding new hunting grounds? That's the tension we all live with. And I don't have any brilliant insights on this. I could just share with you. This is the weighted revenue growth by sector for 3 years, 2014 to 16, in the Fortune 500. Only 3 sectors are above 3%. So it's obviously all of our challenge. And marketing is the function that should be responsible for demand, for new sources of revenue, new channels, new ideas. So the simple idea, and this gets back to the calendar idea, we're not going to spend time on new ideas if we don't do it ourselves. And we don't ask for it. We don't ask questions. We don't spend time on that. We don't show that it's important. Right? So it's a simple matter of the questions we ask. Nothing's more powerful than the questions we ask. And the higher up you get, the more important that is. And the last one. We've been talking about storytelling forever. We're terrible at it, generally. We're working with one real estate company that's trying to move toward a more purpose-oriented approach to their business, their clients, their development. And the one capability they're trying to build is to become engaging storytellers. And we all work in digital marketing in the room. If you're not telling engaging stories, you're dead. You know, when I started at P&G, you could blunt people with your boring message and build awareness and trial of new products. That hasn't worked for a long time. So our ability, I think, to storytell with each other, storytell in our company, storytell with our shareholders, and storytell with our customers, consumers, is more powerful than ever. And generally, I think we're not very good. So I want to share an example. This guy used to be the CEO of Luxottica, a big Italian eyewear company, the biggest in the world by far, vertically integrated. And he went on a journey with this company. They made lots of acquisitions, Ray-Ban, Oakley, LensCrafters, Pearl. Anyone work with them? Anyway, there were a lot of different cultures. And this guy sort of wanted to form one culture. And he sort of wanted to define what that culture was. So he began a large effort getting in touch with employees, hiring people to help him with this. And he had a meeting where the company started, which was a mountain town in Italy, where the founder lived and built his factory around his house. He started with a factory. So he brought his senior leadership to that mountain town and built a tent and got on stage and talked about the future of the company, what he has learned, and how they're all going to aspire to build one culture. I just want to share a small clip of that talk where he's talking about the origin of the company. So let's listen to him and think about storytelling. He's a very introverted guy. He's not terribly comfortable in front of people. So let's take a listen. It's in Italian, but there's subheads.
Il secondo tema è la presenza qui oggi. E voi avete visto dove siamo partiti? Voi avete visto la strana forma di questa fabbrica? Cioè, qualunque stabilimento in cui voi andate fuori dall'angolo di quest'ottica è uno stabilimento che ha una sua pianta regolare, ovvia e naturale. Qua respirate la storia, respirate respirate esattamente tutto quello che è successo, ogni pezzetto di questa fabbrica è stata aggiunta ogni anno. Questa è la nostra storia ed è qui. Per cui abbiamo qualcosa di bellissimo a cui fare riferimento sempre. Quando un'azienda prende si quota in borsa nell'89, una media azienda italiana, e dove decide di andarsi a quotare? A New York. E questa azienda aveva un obiettivo, l'America. Avere la capacità di un mondo finanziario che ci potesse aiutare nel tempo. Un'unione, una vicinanza, abbiamo sentito prima, il dottor Del Vecchio dirci, io ero un produttore di pacchi, con un obiettivo unico, il consumatore, e nel 95 andare a comprare la più grande catena al mondo, e sono tutta una serie di passaggi, uno dietro l'altro, con una velocità, un'intensità, un coraggio straordinario. E poi c'è una passione, c'è un orgoglio. Andate a vederli anche in giro per questo stabilimento, capi reparto, il direttore di stabilimento. C'è sempre stato un grandissimo orgoglio nei confronti del prodotto che abbiamo, qualunque esso sia.
So is he a good storyteller? Why? He believes it? Passion. What else? Italian. It's Italian. It helps. It helps. It's a beautiful language. Absolutely. Anything else? Look for the roots. Yeah. Where they come from. Pictures, concepts, color. So anyway, just pick one opportunity in your life to reframe boring communication into something exciting. This real estate company decided that their financial reporting would now start with storytelling. When they send out a note to their shareholders, it's going to begin with a story about the difference they're making in a community because of what they're doing. They're going to start meetings. These are simple things with a ritual of starting with a story. It kind of changes the dynamic in the room. So there are 5 things I'm hearing from senior marketing people. Here are the ideas based on those things I'm hearing that I just offer to you as inspiration, stimulation, something to think about, applying if it's appropriate in your daily life. So that's all I had for after dinner. I stayed under 30 minutes. So those of you who voted for that, we did well. We're going to have a drink in the bar over here, I think, so I'm going to join you for that. But if there's anything you want to ask about, any questions, comments, builds, debates, discussions, questions about anything you want, about summer, about Peru, about work life, purpose, P&G, Donald Trump, whatever you want to talk about. Hey, we're in a technology meeting. Did you see him with the speakerphone today? I felt like me in the 80s, right? Trying to get that call to work.
So I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So having worked
You're with Hilton. Very good, yeah. Yeah.
I did work with PG. But it has become
Yeah, let's get a mic. Sorry about that. It's become...
I'm Armin Malavi. I'm
You're using Tina's words.
from Global,
Yeah.
head of media for Hilton, but I did work with P&G. Great 3 runs, 3 years, loved it, but it has become an execution factory. Very little risk.
Yeah.
Trademarking WTF doesn't really seem like a strategy.
Yeah.
So how do you change an organization of that size?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is, I will, if you look at the financial results of P&G over the last 9 years, and their stock performance, and you compare it to Unilever, which is run by a very energetic person named Paul Pullman, who's ex-P&G, Unilever's revenue is up about 30, 35%. the share price has tripled. P&G's is about where it was when I left. So to me, the simple answer to your question, it's about leadership, it's about what you focus on, it's about ambition. You know, when I joined P&G, it was number one. They wanted to hire the best, be first, number one or two or go home, start trends. If there's something new, be the first to try it. And that doesn't happen organically without leaders supporting that and asking about it and funding it and taking a chance. And I think they've not kept up on that front. And I think Paul Pullman, at the same time, stated a purpose for the company, bold goals, you know, had an explicit goal to bring in the top talent in the world to Unilever, and they do very well in that, even in a category that's challenged. And making some interesting acquisitions at the right time, learning from startups, scaling that learning. So it's leadership. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. They had a great, I think a wildly creative idea with Tide. And I think Tide's done reasonably well over the last couple of years. So no, the company still has $66 billion in sales, $1 billion in cash a month, strong brands, and still great people, but they have not kept up, and they have not kept up with their competitive set. Not to mention the world around them. And they self-admit that, and they're working on it. They're working on it. But culture is fragile. It's a 180-year-old company that's pretty much won and beaten the competitors for most of that time. It can change. It can change quickly. But there's also hope in that because it's all people. It's all culture. It's all leadership. Yeah. Yes, sir. And then the back. Go ahead. You go first. It's okay. We need the mic. Let's start there first, then we'll come on.
Hello.
Who are you with?
I'm with Jet.com.
Oh, yeah. Good. Sure.
And so in terms of the storytelling point, I love this as an idea. The challenge I have is, for some people, storytelling is natural, and it's a matter of getting reps in. For other people, it is less so, and obviously practice still helps considerably. But when certain members of my team come and they want to develop that skill, besides trying to give them opportunities, I sometimes struggle to help them develop in that area. Do you have any key ideas?
You know, every great story has about the same arc. So I would look at the great stories, and there's a lot written about this. What are the arc of great stories? What's the arc of Star Wars? You know, and it basically follows the same arc of every great story throughout history that's been told or written. And I would just think of how you do communication against that arc. You know, is there a tension? Is there a hero? Is there, is there an outcome? Is there an arresting opening? Are there people that you care about in it? You know, so I think just thinking about the classic story arc, and can you somehow learn from that in how you tell stories? And everyone has different styles. As I said, the Italian guy I showed you is not a natural storyteller. He's pretty much a financial guy. And, but he believed in this so much, and he thought about it. He didn't want to launch this new direction for the company until he internalized it, until he talked about it in small groups a lot before he got on a stage like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, right here.
Hi, Alex Jurgen from Data Wallet. Question following on when I said what I learned this summer. What will be the iconic marketing of the future, given how fragmented media is going to become and fewer people watching television or reading newspapers? Is it just going to be a really great viral video? What's going to drive the iconic advertising of the future?
Oh my, I think it's going to be about, it's going to be what your people do every day. It's going to be about your behavior. It's going to be alignment around the difference you're trying to make with someone, some group of people. And it's going to be everyone believing in that, internalizing it, able to inspire that in others, and implementing it. So to me, it's about daily behavior. There's no I think there's no one framework. It's about daily behavior, and I think it's about a focus in those people in the room who work on products. You know, we're talking about Nordstrom's at our table tonight. You know, they maybe implicitly, they were thinking about experiences a long time ago by putting cafes in their stores and service and all that good stuff, making a nice environment, music, all that. You know, so every great brand thinks of themselves as an experience. And the CPG companies are starting to get that. Those of you who are in the experiences have gotten that for a long time. But I think it's about behavior and thinking of your product or service as an experience. To me, that's the new area of competitive advantage. Anyone over here? You want to go to the bar, eat your dessert? Yes, ma'am. Who are you with?
Hi, I'm with Corel Brands. My name is Yas Stanley. So I have a question going back to kind of that company culture where you talked about generating that excitement and doing things that like the team and the workforce can really get behind. How do you balance that driving excitement and innovation with kind of what prevails at a company with like their just adverse reaction to risk-taking and testing and learning? We talk a lot about test and learn and risk-taking, but really when you get down to the fundamentals of a company culture, there's very little of that at a lot of different companies. So what have you seen, I guess, or heard from the different leaders in marketing around? Is it an innovation team, or is it like that's kind of helping to drive that, or is it more about just integrating that throughout the company?
I think, you know, a big thing I learned in this book I did looking at startups and big companies, the ones that were really changing the game took their learning from startups and how they work and brought it back into the enterprise. Anyone can do that, right? They didn't just look at, gosh, what's our portfolio of companies that could help us with a new technology? They said, how do these people work that is fundamentally different, and what can we learn from that? And so that's one way to tackle the beast. But I think a very simple, it's the point I made up, I think a very simple thing you can do, I don't care what industry you're in, if you had coffee with your team around a table like this and said, hey, here are the 3 most important things we're working on, how do we feel about them? Are we being ambitious enough? Are we excited ourselves? Is it something we talk about when we go home to our partners or our kids or our parents? And if it doesn't meet that test, you know, it's one powerful concept I used at P&G a long time ago. I said, you know, we should use the metaphor of a relationship in everything we do, a loving relationship. So if you were doing whatever, a new product, a new social media campaign, a new channel of distribution, you know, are you measuring that as you would a relationship? I mean, you'd never do a bad ad if you were thinking about the metaphor of a relationship. You'd never do a shitty product if you were thinking about a relationship. So we started to put the characteristics of a strong relationship as success criteria for what we were doing. That changed a lot. Changed how we thought about things.
That makes sense, and I think a lot of it goes back to kind of that leadership, and I think you spoke to that earlier, because I think those conversations are happening maybe at the lower levels, but you know, kind of the leadership saying, okay, are these things, you know, engaging or looking at it as a relationship? I don't know if that's happening everywhere. It's probably not.
Yeah.
So
But it's a real fundamental discussion, and your people will love having that.
Thank you.
Yeah. One more, and then shall we pack it up? Yeah.
Hi, Jim. Ted Wayman from Skyward in Boston. We're a brand storyteller, so you're kind of
wow, very good. Well, there you go. You can talk to that guy in the back.
Who, in your opinion, is the best brand storyteller today?
I think that, well, I'm not sure I'm going to say the best.
I have another answer following yours, but
No, I want to think of it. It's a great question. And maybe I'll ask, can I get help from the audience? What's that? What do? You look for the line or the rope? What is it? Yeah. Anyone help me as I'm thinking? I mean, one brand, I think about brands that have changed me and changed my behavior, and that's a really hard measure. You often ask, if our brand went away, what would happen? And the sad truth is a lot of nothing. If Amazon went away, I would miss that. If Netflix went away, I would miss that. If Twitter went away, I'd miss it. If Snap went away, I'd miss it. I don't know if my tennis racket went away if I'd miss it. There's another one to replace it. So I think all those brands tell a decent story. Nespresso is a consumer product where I've changed my behavior. I spend a lot less money in coffee shops since I started as an espresso guy, and I think they tell their story reasonably well. Their club, their new flavors, the romance of the machine, the kiosks in areas to intercept you and just sample. So I think they do a pretty good job.
To your point.
Who else? Who's good storytellers? Who's that? Peloton, yeah.
Southwest.
Yeah, Starbucks, Southwest, yeah.
Red Bull.
Shinola? Yeah, okay, yeah. You said Corona? Yeah. Apple? Yeah, they're all good. Airbnb's good, yeah. Airbnb's really good, I think. Yeah, that might be my favorite, actually, Airbnb. How they tell their
So
story.
what we
They're very
find is a
compelling.
lot of brands don't tell stories, they tell narratives. And
Yeah.
nobody likes a narrative, but a story is great if it's told well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's how we learn, it's how we change, right? Super. Okay, you stumped me. That was a good one, but thanks for the help, crowd. So, okay, let's enjoy dessert, keep chatting, and I'll meet you at the bar. That sound good? Tara, back to you.